Hey guys and gals, I just want to shoot a short video on tapping the Toyota Land Cruiser FJ80 power steering box. There's a few other videos out there that give you the basics. This one I just wanted to point out some tips I didn't see in the other videos. So the first major one was, you can see I have two holes, one in the Toyota and then one on the end. I've seen other videos where that hole is drilled right here. You can tell what's going on here. There is a channel drilled through here which runs through for fluid to flow through here. In the back of this case you can see a little notch right there. So fluid flows through. This ball is to seal a drilled channel. Okay, so the chamber that contains fluid at the back of the piston in this body is the same fluid pressure, or roughly pressure here, with a little bit of resistance in that channel, as it is in the cavity behind the piston. I've chosen this location to drill and tap for the thread because the piston body has kind of a flared end, kind of a stub that sticks out, and that hole is basically drilled in this space. So any thread that extends a little bit should not contact that piston. And when you look in the back, I don't know how we can see, but there's a bit of a flare around the perimeter of it as well. Looks like it sticks out like just less than 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I'm pretty comfortable with my thread location there versus trying to line up here. Plus this spot to spin my fitting in will be closer to the hydraulic ram than back further up higher. So that's the only reason for that. You can do in both places. The steps for pulling this apart are actually really easy. Pitman arm tool. When you torque this in, when it gets tight, just tap it with a hammer and it'll start to pop itself off. So it's easy. Pitman arm, Pitman comes off, Pitman tool. You can crack the two caps. You get 4 bolts on this guy, unscrew this, and he will come off with that. After the arm is off, just a rubber hammer to slowly work that what we call the shaft, sector shaft maybe. Sector shaft out, and just slowly pull them out. And then for the piston and the other end here, you can undo the bolts obviously, but first you want to turn this all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and find center. So I think it was 4 5/8 of a rotation, so I split the difference on that, get it centered. And then I've heard mentioned in some and not in the other, they've got the centering valve. The centering valve has to come out. You will see this guy sticking out of there. He has to come out before the piston body comes out. So you do that. This piece comes out with a spring that falls out easily. And then behind that is this guy, and he's 2 pieces. So a magnet will pull them out pretty easily. So we'll go back in that order. This unit, when centered, if this spiral shaft here, it's got ball bearings that ride in a channel and run through this kind of passage. If that thing unscrews all the way, you'll drop ball bearings and you'll want to just order a new one, because apparently they're no fun to get back together. There are some videos that make it look pretty easy though, so you can hunt for that. Other than that, after you pull this thing apart and you're going to drill, I would recommend getting a rag and stuffing a rag in there as tight against that hole where you're about to drill and tap. And then I would have this actually rotated upwards so that you can kind of pull down and then pull all the filings and then shake it off. And you really apparently don't want to get metal in the bearings or in the surfaces where it can score for the piston. For this end piece, if you want to get a lid off an aerosol can, put it up against it and then use rags jammed behind it so it kind of traps it. Then you can drill from the top and you should collect most of that. This lower chamber is a bit simpler and a bit easier to kind of clean out. Give it a blast with some brake clean. But this one, this chamber here is a little bit more finicky. You don't want to get metal in the bearings and stuff. So just be mindful of that. And then when that's all out, you've got some seals to replace. You can get a rebuild kit. They're pretty cheap. Right after you pull this off the vehicle, I would hit it with a wire wheel, just like a round wire brush on a die grinder. Makes pretty good work, and it just also helps keep contaminants and crap out of it. Other than that, these are 1/4 NPT to, I forget what these fittings are called. FJ80, yeah, high pressure fittings. So, oh yeah, last tip. You can get some line, get one end pressed on. Let's see how much they press down. Get one end on, and then mark and or cut the other end, and then go back to the shop, get them to press the other side of it, and then your line should be perfect. So you can cycle your suspension all the way up and down, get it in place, and then mark it and then cut it. Yeah, I hope this helped anyone with some questions. If not, definitely look at one of the other power steering box videos that gives a more direct removal information. Thanks, guys. One last thing on this, the two chambers. So the fitting from this side of it will have pressure when you're steering to the passenger side, which in North America is the right, and in Australia is otherwise. And so what happens is, as this mechanism works, fluid builds behind the piston, pulls it this way. The sector shaft will be orientated like this. It will rotate in this direction as the piston moves from the right to the left. So it rotates clockwise. As it does rotate clockwise, your pitman arm will rotate clockwise as well. Then as you go to the driver's side or the left, the back side of the piston, the fluid in this whole chamber will feed through here. The shaft will be, the pressure will be pushing the piston in this orientation. The piston will be pulling the sector shaft counterclockwise, which will rotate pitman arm that way. So this one will have pressure behind it and the vehicle will be turning to the left.